What is up, my crypto boys and crypto men? If you're watching this video, there is a very high likelihood that you are a male. I think this is pretty universal throughout the crypto space. That's not to say there are not a lot of brilliant women in cryptocurrency, but most of you guys watching are just good old boys, pound back a few brewskis every once in a while. I want to start off this video really briefly looking at this, and then we do have a lot of interesting articles. One really good Medium article that I want to talk about. But yeah, in terms of price action on Bitcoin, if we zoom in a little bit, you can see we've kind of just stayed trading inside of this continuation pattern. We saw a slight dip in prices yesterday, I believe, but nothing significant at all, nothing worth talking about. Again, this is a little zoomed out picture here if you guys want to take a look. If I would draw a bottom there, it's a very sharp looking pattern. So again, everyone's still waiting in anticipation. Nothing to really update in terms of that, but I do like covering it every once in a while. So this was a really good blog post on Medium. It was posted by Think Outside the Blocks. Really cool name as well. Now this serves as a really good reminder of why cryptocurrency does have a future. So it is titled "Why Bitcoin and Crypto Don't Have a Future," or why it has no future, to highlight why it does have a future. And so we can cover some key points in this. There's a lot, and it's again very optimistic. So I'll leave a link to this in the description if you want to read the entire thing. But yeah, we can just read some to start it off. Why do Bitcoin and crypto assets have no future? When the New York Stock Exchange is creating the cryptocurrency trading platform backed in collab with Microsoft and Starbucks with physically backed Bitcoin futures contracts, when Fidelity is offering it to its clients and has been mining it since 2015. So the first 2 points, backed and Fidelity, two things that I've been covering for a few weeks now and I think are really key and critical. And again, we can get into this article that was posted today, kind of saying the exact same thing that I've been saying for a little bit. Again, I think by far, like, these are two of the most exciting things that are happening in the space right now, and that could provide some really good outlooks and longevity for cryptocurrency in the future. So if we just want to jump back to this and read some more of these points, there's one about Steve Wozniak. Katy Perry, when Amazon Web Services partnered with Quantum, when Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is utilizing Ripple's Interledger protocol to help with payment services, when IBM is partnering with XLM for cross-border payment solutions, when Jamie Dimon is calling Bitcoin a fraud. This happened back in 2017. But in the background, JP Morgan and Morgan Stanley bought Bitcoin ETNs on the dip. The MLB is launching a crypto-based video game. I actually wasn't aware of this. Pretty cool though. When George Soros initially bashed crypto only to later buy a stack of Bitcoin at $6,000. When Alibaba and IBM have the most blockchain patents in the world. Yale's endowment investing into cryptocurrency. Winklevoss twins taking millions of dollars of Facebook money and putting it into Bitcoin in 2013. When John McAfee bets his manhood that Bitcoin is going to the moon. When the CEO of Twitter thinks cryptocurrency is the future. Again, this goes on for a long time. I'm going to leave this in the description if you want to, check this out more. Akon launching its own cryptocurrency. The co-founder of Wikipedia working on a decentralized counterpart, Everipedia. When Ashton Kutcher donated $4 million in XRP to Ellen DeGeneres' charity, transferring it to her in a matter of seconds. Ashton's also doing a lot of good stuff in terms with like sex trafficking. I know he's very active and has saved like thousands of women from being sold in the sex trafficking market, so that's pretty cool as well. I think he's doing a lot of cool stuff there. When the co-owner of the Golden State Warriors invested in early Bitcoin and thinks it's going to $1 million per coin. I think you probably get the gist of this article. There's just so much going on and there's so much adoption, so much usage behind the scenes, but we tend to forget that because we always inevitably end up looking at this, at least we have for the past 10 months, and we seem to forget or downplay just how significant a lot of these things are and just how much has happened in even the last 1 to 2 years. Overstock.com is full on crypto. I mean, this goes on. So again, I'll post a link to this in the description if you want to check it out, but it's really a very positive, well-written, well-marketed piece. So yeah, credit to this individual here who wrote it. Really cool. I really like the blog post there. Now, I've been talking about Bakkt and Fidelity, probably the two biggest things going on in the cryptocurrency space recently. So Bakkt and Fidelity will bring an enormous amount of capital into crypto, the Pantera Capital CEO says. So this might not happen within the next month or 2 months about enormous capital coming into this space, but like I said in the last video, I would suspect maybe the first or second quarter of 2019 to really start to show some promise in terms of the effects that these two entities will have on crypto. So Bakkt and Fidelity will become two key catalysts for the overall growth of the crypto market. At Bloomberg's initial crypto conference in New York, Dan Morehead said he expects the crypto trading platform Bakkt and Fidelity's new crypto platform for institutional investors to bring a new wave of capital into crypto. So Dan Morehead is quoted here saying, "When we look back at this 5 years from now, I think those are going to be the events that spurred an enormous amount of capital into the industry. The owner of the NYSE, New York Stock Exchange Intercontinental Exchange, is expected to launch its crypto exchange Bakkt this year, while Fidelity's trading platform is already up and running." So according to Morehead, crypto investors focused on whether the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission will approve a Bitcoin ETF and are missing the big picture. An ETF is not news, and it's far too early for the agency to give an ETF a seal of approval. That's his opinion there. I do think most likely we might not see an ETF for a while, but I do think it's somewhat possible. Again, even if we didn't see one, I don't think it would be the biggest blow to crypto. Again, I don't think it's like super important at the moment. So I do believe Bakkt and Fidelity are much bigger pieces of news at this time and much more beneficial for crypto getting a nice start on beginning the next run. The SEC doesn't want widows and orphans buying Bitcoin ETFs. They don't even know if Bitcoin is officially a security. Very few people know that the last asset class that was certified for an ETF was copper. It took 3 years, even though copper has been around for 8,000 years. Again, I just covered this to kind of reiterate some of the points that I've been trying to make for the past few weeks about Bakkt and Fidelity, really, and how important they are to the space of cryptocurrency. Now, at first glance, this might not seem like such a positive article here. It's cryptocurrency fever is starting to fade, says the Russian central bank. Go figure. Elvira Nabiullina, the head of the central bank of the Russian Federation, claimed the investors' excitement towards cryptocurrency has begun to cool. Her remarks came as the Finopolis Innovative Financial Technology Forum. So the reason I think this is good is because if we're going to see a turnaround and shift in the market, many of you have seen that Wall Street cheat sheet psychology of a market cycle. Before a market turns around, usually what you see is a lack of interest. You see, as you can see in the chart here, anxiety, denial, panic, anger, depression, disbelief, everything like that, right? You're not going to just continuously moonshot with euphoria the entire thing. These are cycles. They play a very key role, and that's why when good news has been coming out this year, it hasn't affected the price, because we're in a certain cycle right now, and the cycle needs to play out. It's not always guaranteed that they follow like patterns like this, but there is a reason that these are used, because for the most part, they do seem to repeat over and over again. The time that it takes is different, the circumstances are different, but in general, this type of psychology is repetitious. So the fact that the fever is starting to fade, and I think that's kind of an understatement. I think that people, maybe even the last 4 to 5 months, have been losing interest kind of one by one over the last 4 to 5 months in cryptocurrency, which I do think is a good thing. If we want to see the market turn around, and if we want to see renewed optimism in crypto, first we kind of have to ride the wave all the way to the bottom as well. And I think we are getting much closer to the bottom. Not in terms of price. I think potentially we could have already hit the bottom in terms of price. I think maybe we also might not have. But what I'm saying is we might have hit the bottom in terms of sentiment, or at least we're very close to it, and we're ready to kind of inch our way back up, or start flowing that optimism back into the market. But again, my whole point of covering very briefly what I'm going to talk about in this article is just that if we do want renewed interest, enthusiasm, optimism, excitement back into cryptocurrency, we do need the opposite. It's kind of like a yin and yang thing. It's kind of universal, You're going to have bad days, you're going to have good days. You're going to have days where you make a lot of money in crypto, and you're going to have days where you lose a lot of money in crypto. Usually with crypto, it'll be like a few months where you're like doing really well, and then it'll be months and months where you're doing bad as well. And that's what we've seen. It's not kind of like a daily thing, but that's just kind of a general rule of life. There's good and bad, and you have to accept that, take that into account, and realize it's not a bad thing. Everyone gets very excited, and we all did. I think we were all very excited every single day back at the end of 2017, when every day you'd wake up and you would check your favorite coin, and it would be up 15% since the previous day. And you could say that the opposite for this year so far in 2018, where every day you check and it's either we're down 10, 15%, 5%, or we're just kind of flatlined. But again, what we've seen recently is flatlining, which is very, very indicative potentially of a good reversal in the overall trend. We could see something like that, like this. I don't think that we're going to see anything quite as long as this market that began in 2013. Again, that was more of a black swan event brought on by Mt. Gox, which was like essentially one of the only exchanges at the time that dealt in Bitcoin. Again, much different times back then, no institutional interest compared to what we're seeing now, totally different times. So I would not be surprised if we even saw a much sharper curve and a lot sooner as well. This was kind of like a worst case scenario. And that doesn't even seem that long compared to how long we've already been in this market now. So again, I think there's a lot to be optimistic about. And again, I guess I already talked enough about my own opinions about this, and I didn't even really cover this article. I kind of just based what I just talked about simply on the title, and kind of went off on a little rant there in a good way. I think it was like a pretty positive rant there. I'm pretty happy with what I said actually there. So yeah, I guess I won't even cover what this says, but even basically the last thing I want to say, because there was a good quote that I just want to say really quickly, that even though there's bearish attitudes towards it, businesses are trying to improve the blockchain by picking practical projects over sensational ones, and businesses trying to improve such technologies, looking for cases for the practical application of them. Even from a central bank, even from somebody who doesn't necessarily have a vested interest in cryptocurrency succeeding, not complete pessimism. So that's going to be it for today's video, guys. If you liked, please make sure to subscribe, leave a like, and I'll see you in the next video.